Hi everybody, Alex Deployer from Expert4x, and I hope this video gives you lots of money-making Forex trading ideas. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Expert4x Trade Panel functions. The Expert4x Trade Panel is currently, at this point in time, not available, and it will be launched in the next day or two. I thought it was important to get details of how the Expert4x Trade Panel functions out in video format for prospective purchasers to review it. So what we're going to see in this video is a general overview of the trading panel, an overview of the entry panel, overview of the active trade panel. There are in fact two panels, and then we're going to have a look at a live trade being entered and amended. And by then you should have a good idea of how this panel works. So this panel has been created to improve the manual processing and management of deals by providing really important information to the trader in order to make proper trading decisions and to manage deals on a sound risk management basis. It is not a trading EA, although following stops and trailing targets and things like that are included. It's not intended to be a trading EA. It is a panel for entering and managing manual deals. There are, however, a few specialist panels planned for the future, such as straddle panels, double in a day panels, top-up panels, etc. The panel also includes best practice as recommended by Expert4x and should therefore encourage better trading habits than is currently being used by traders. All of this will become a lot clearer when you see a live trade being processed and more details about the panel. The panel manages one trade per chart and it adopts the currency of that chart. The time frame is immaterial. To open other trades, you simply add the panel to a chart of that particular currency that you want to trade. Now, one of the reasons for the one trade per chart basis is to force best practice in that every transaction has its own profile and is unique. This is often missed when topping up or partially closing deals. The risk profile of an open deal can change dramatically as new transactions are added and older transactions closed, and therefore you need to know what the up-to-date status is of your margin and profitability of each deal. Now the panel is quite a big one, and as you can see on the left hand side here, but it can be folded away by using those buttons that are indicated there. It can be folded away into really small areas on your chart. So as mentioned before, there are two panels. There's the entry panel and then the active trade panel. So here's the entry panel, and it supplies a huge amount of information for you to make a sound entry decision. When the transaction is activated, it goes into active trade mode, and all the entry buttons disappear, but you can then go and amend this trade according to your needs. After amending, you just need to hit apply and the trade will be changed. Now the other thing that happens is that once the trade is active, like here, and it is closed either by a manual close by hitting that close button or it hitting one of the stops or targets set for the trade, it then automatically reverts back to a entry panel. So the purpose of the active trade panel is to allow the trader to make changes to active transactions and to see the result of those transactions when they are made. The advantage of using this active trade panel is that key information is updated. Now both panels have communication and error messages that pop up at appropriate times. We'll see examples of that. Okay, so let's have a look at these panels in a little bit more detail. This might look a little bit complicated at first, but certainly after your second deal, it will be extremely easy to manage. Firstly, you select the basis of your lot sizing, and I normally use free margin as the basis for my lot sizing. You can then enter the stop size that you're going to use and the target size you're going to use in pips. You also enter the risk percentage. How much of your account do you want to risk on this particular trade? There's a provision for a comment if you want to make one, and you can then decide on whether you're going to be using trailing stops and which kind of trailing stops you will use. You can also decide whether to use a dynamic target which follows the price when the transaction is going negative. You can also use market orders or pending orders, and if using a pending order, you can enter the value of the pending order. You will then enter the deal, and there's a facility to take a picture of the deal, which is very handy if you are keeping a trade diary and want to remember the reasons for entering deals. The panel on the other side will calculate the lot sizes for you automatically. It will calculate your return on risk automatically. It will display the total free margin that you have in your account, and it will display the margin required for your particular transaction. It will also calculate the dollar value of your stop loss and the dollar value of your target. It will also show the current spread, and it will add a ticket number to the transaction when activated. It shows the currency's pip value as information. Now, when the deal is active, the active trade panel changes, and the trader can then change the stop loss, or change the target, or change details of the trailing stops, or change details of the dynamic target. The trader can then also take a picture of the changes that have been made. The panel will then recalculate the return on risk, display the updated free margin, because the free margin changes as new deals are added and deals are closed, and that is a very dynamic number. It will also display the margin required for the deal so that you can relate that to the money available in your account. It also recalculates the dollar value of your stop and the dollar value of your target, and it will show the current spread. The current spread can change dramatically from time to time. It shows the transaction number, which confirms that it's an active transaction, and it will show the current progress of your trade in pips. So down here, you'll see the profit or loss in pips. Now, all of that will make a lot more sense if you actually see a trade being entered into and changed while it is active. So let's go straight into that. Okay, let's have a look at the Expert4x Trading Panel in action. And on your screen, you can see one of my trading charts. You'll see that the trading panel is missing, and that is exactly correct. You only use the panel when you need to place a trade. So let's have a look at this chart that's happening right in front here. I'm pretty keen to trade a sell at the moment. I'll tell you why. There's a big divergence that's built up over there. And there's been a trend line violation that's happened over here, and the price is very close to strong upside resistance. You can see it's been rejected there, rejected, and even rejected there. So the chances of it going south are pretty high. So I'm interested in putting this particular trade in place. What I would do is I'll put my stop just beyond the resistance, and I need to find a target. So my target will most probably be previous support, which could be as low as that. Okay, so there's my trade. Really happy about this particular trade. It's already made a divergence, so I know the chances of it going south is pretty good. And let's get into it before the price moves any further. I load the trade panel onto the chart. I set my font size for 8, and it will then load onto the chart, and there we are. There's the panel. Now all I have to do is enter this particular deal. So let's have a look at this deal. I'm going to put my stop somewhere over there. So we're looking at about a 55 pip stop, and I'm going to be putting my target somewhere just above that support, which is 120 pips. Okay, so that's all I need to do. I need to decide how much I'm going to risk. So I said I'm going to risk about 2%. And what the trade panel now does, it automatically calculates my lot size. Very important that you trade a consistent risk percentage, and the panel will calculate your lot size. It's also saying your return on risk is very good, because you're going to be making over 200% return. You're only going to be risking 55, and you could make 120 pips on this particular trade. So what I then do is I look, I look at it and I say, oh, let's put a trailing stop in, and I'm just going to do a regular trailing stop. I've got to take profit of 120, so I'm going to go halfway and I'll start the trailing stop at 60. I'll trail by 50, which means when the trailing stop starts, I'll have a risk-free transaction and my pip, I'll trail by 10 pips. The dynamic target, I'm not going to use one right now. It's not going to be a pending order. I'm going to want to sell. But let's just check if this is a safe transaction, because I need to make sure that I've got enough margin, and the margin required is 16%, and that's really covers the amount that I have in free margin, so I don't have a margin problem. If I were in Europe and I had a smaller account, I would possibly have a margin problem there. It's telling me that if I am profitable with this deal, I'm going to make $46. If I lose on this deal, it's going to be $21. And what it's also telling me is that the spread currently is 5.3, and the pip value for this currency, which is the pound CAD, is $7.67. Now, at this point, you can take a picture of the chart to make sure that you can remember why you entered the deal. Now, I'm not going to take the picture right now, because I'm going to enter the deal and then take the picture. I want to make sure that my values are correct. So we're going to sell this one. I just click on sell and it automatically opens the sell. Now, there's my stop, which is nicely above this resistance area. There's my target, which is nicely above the support area, and there's my entry. So I'm pretty happy about this deal as it is. This is, at this point, I'd like to take a picture, and I do that. I just click on here and a picture is automatically saved for me that I can go back to and have a look at. Now, these pictures are very important, because you need to know on what basis did you make your decision, and then when the deal is closed, you need to take another picture, because you need to see the result of your decision. And this is the main way that you trade. So what's subtly built into this panel is the best practice of risking the same percentage amount on every trade, and also having a record of your trades and settings. You can fold these away. The trade is now active. Now you can see this part has changed. I no longer have those entry buttons. I now have buttons that allow me to make changes. So if I want to, I can now change that to 110 pips, and the risk will stay the same. Everything, the grayed out items cannot be changed, only the items in white. So I'm going to leave my stop where it is. I can make it actually a little bit smaller. Let's make it a little bit smaller, and everything seems fine. Okay, and the other thing that we can do is we can add a dynamic target. So the target, I'll say when I go minus 40, I want to start trailing my target, and it must update every 5 pips. So now I've activated a dynamic target. After I've entered the deal, I've changed my stop and my take profit, and let's go and change the let's go and change some of this. So I can now say, all right, I want to start a little bit earlier with this, and I'll trail by a little bit of a smaller amount. So the trade panel allows you to change and amend your trade after you've entered it in a very convenient and coordinated way, because all of this you can now see in one big picture. The revert button is if you change your mind and you want to go back to the original setting. So I'm just going to hit revert, and you see it goes back to the original setting, but I do want to make those changes, so I'm not going to hit revert. Just showed you the impact of that. Now I want to change this deal, so I hit apply, and it says that this ticket, there's the ticket, it is a sell ticket, got updated successfully, and the transaction is now updated to a slightly smaller stop and a slightly small target. It now has a dynamic target in place, and the trailing stop has changed slightly. Now you can see this detail. It says trailing stop status. It is a regular trailing stop, and it has been set. In other words, it is not active yet. When it activates, when the price goes down and activates the stop, it will activate that. The dynamic target has also been set. It is not active yet. If the transaction goes negative, it will start pulling the target up with it, and that's what a dynamic target does. The free margin, you can see, is changing as a result of this actual transaction that we're in, and it has now recalculated the profit amount and the loss amount. The ticket numbers there, you can see it's a sell. The current, it shows you the current spread, so you know what's going on in terms of that, and the portfolio is still the same. And now it updates the profitability of this transaction. So there you have it. You can very quickly see, without even looking at the chart, you can see I am 6 pips down. It doesn't look like that on the chart, but it's very important that you know that, because the spreads can cause all kinds of miscalculations in this particular area. You can fold these boxes away if you don't need them, and also you can actually fold the panel away like that or like that if you don't need it. The panel will issue updates in the form of labels like this, where it will say, oh, the following stop is now activated, or the dynamic target is now activated. So the panel will keep you 100% up to date as to what the status is of your trade. The other thing that's quite nice is that you can close the trade at any time. So you just hit that and it closes the trade. Okay, so this was just a quick review of how to enter a trade, and then how to amend that trade later on, or most probably straight after entering the trade. You might change your idea about where you want the target, where you want the stops, and you can do all those things. You can add things that you've forgotten about. You can change some things that you've already entered. So highly flexible, and it gives you feedback right away about what's going on with your trade. You can immediately see if you've set a trailing stop or a dynamic target. Here we are, and what the profitability is. What I like about this trading panel is you don't have to hunt around for information. All the information is in one place, and it allows you to manage the transaction accordingly. Now, this video was really just to give you an idea of the functionality of the trade panel. So please don't underestimate the importance of knowing things like spreads, margin requirements, risk on return ratios, and precise lot sizing. So please watch out for the Expert4x Trade Panel, which will be released in a few days' time. With this panel, you also get really good support as well as an upgrade path. As mentioned before, there will also be some specialized panels that will be created in the future. Thanks for watching this video. If you've liked it, please give it a like. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and click the bell. But most importantly, share this video. You can do this in many ways. Message your friends, send them emails, or share it on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, and those kind of places. So from me, Alex Deploy, cheerio.